What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Andres, and I'm calling from Cali, Colombia.
So this is now you know Renee, right?
Yeah, yes, you're mad, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about what's been going on in Colombia. What's been? I mean, it's it's weird because I feel like it's being covered, but not in the U.S., but not really as much as obviously it should be. Like honestly, like the issue usually is with coverage of South America here. I mean, the idea that this country puts its thumb on the scales of everything that goes on in South America, yet we barely cover it compared to other countries. It's just absurd to me. But give me a quick summary, I guess, for people who are completely unfamiliar. What's been happening in Colombia and why has it been happening?
Well, it's been happening since years. It's been the history here. It's been for a long time, about 50 years of corruption and dealing with drugs and stuff, and like drugs cartels and stuff. But lately, it happened because they were trying to make a reform, or yes, trying to make it like a new law for people to get charged more with taxes. So the people that actually get how to say this, uh, uh, get affected by this new law that they were trying to put into our community, or our people, Colombian people, affect the poor people. So this is why, like, all Colombia got really mad about. So everybody got into the streets because they didn't want this new law to be applied. So around this thing is where all started. So after that, it's been about 3 weeks now where people is been in the streets. Like I would say marching, like everybody walking. And since then, the government has been trying to stop everything. But there's when it comes the force from the police, and like force from the government, where the police are hurting and killing people. So this is like a little bit that has been going on these three past weeks. So it's been a lot of violence around, a lot of covering news. People is been trying to make this viral, all this thing that is happening in Colombia now. Government is being trying to actually hide everything that is being going on with violence, and not actually trying not to show the world what is really going on. So they're always trying to hide things, and there's a lot of things that are still um, like not published or not known for everybody.
Right. Now, is this sort of analogous with what happened a few years ago in Chile when they had raised? I think they would raise public transportation prices, and there were those big protests there. Is this sort of like the same sort of dynamic here, where people just were sick and tired of like the man constantly hold like and when I mean seriously like the regular average ordinary everyday citizen who's out there working hard, breaking their back every day, and just it's not like they're getting anything extra for this extra money. It's like the same shitty services for more money.
Yeah, it's like we're getting like I think is the low one of the lowest minimum wage in the whole, I would say it America, is like $200 per month. So imagine surviving with two three kids. In my case, I don't have kids, but I know surviving with a minimum wage here, it's really hard. So for those people that are already have families, and they, as you say, work hard, to try to grow, where in a country where it doesn't let you. is really hard. So people actually it's tired of everything that is going on, and this is why we are in the streets right now. People still are in the streets.
Now, just to make sure people understand, like, here in the United States, usually, if you heard that there was a protest against taxes, that would be a right wing thing here in this country. In this country, the right doesn't, the right wing here is usually angry. They want lower taxes. They don't want to pay for welfare services, things like that. Explain how that's different in Colombia, because that's not what's going on there. Like, this is much different in terms of, like, here we want taxes to be raised, but obviously on specific groups of people. People who make an enormous obscene amount of money should pay more in taxes.
Exactly.
Can you explain? So explain what's going on. What specifically is this new law in Colombia? The taxes would be raised on everybody. Is there any? Is it
Mhm.
across the board? And just give us a little bit more
So
information.
when I was talking about the minimum wage, when it comes to charging taxes to people, charging I think is 19% of like the on taxes for people in food. It's also happening in healthcare and everything that you actually can buy. They people get charged the 19% in taxes, and that's a lot of money when you get like a so this little money like as a minimum wage. So the people get angry because with this kind like with this amount of money that we're getting as a minimum wage, people can afford things like they can barely pay for things, and charging more taxes for people is actually leaving people poor. Like people cannot actually survive with this kind of wage when there is a lot of poorness here in this country.
Who who
So
who is sort of leading, I guess, the protest over there? Is it like sort of like a ideologically, politically? Is this more of a left wing thing, a right wing thing, or is it just like all the ideologies are coming together to basically work together because this is just
there's it's more actually like a generation that is being tired of so much things around what is going on with the country, violence, and everything. So it's a generation that is standing up for the others that didn't actually do anything. Where before people will usually just get these kind of laws like that, and people were just like, okay, that's fine, and keep getting the country down. When this generation is standing up, um, well, it's actually been happening since I told you like 50 years ago, but the government is still trying to get people quiet. So all the leaders and society leaders that come from communities, they get killed, and there are about 6,000. I had the number here, 6,402 people, leaders, killed by the government. Actually, by the government trying not to get this word out. So now,
right.
when this generation are standing up, this is why we're uh, still in the streets, because we are more right now. So the ones that want like really want the change are more now than the generation that already passed. So we want a new not we want our country better.
Right. This
Like
does seem very similar to when you say it's a generational a protest. It does seem very similar to what we saw in Chile. It does seem like yeah. That's now. It seems like what ends up happening in many instances. Again, this happened in Chile too, and from my understanding, from what I've read so far about Colombia, this is happening too. Obviously, these protests are still about the economic issues, but it seems like they use the police to deflect, and then it becomes about the police brutality. Tell me a little bit about how what's been going on down there with how the police have been treating the protesters.
Well, police is always be doing like bad stuff. Like police are always been on the government side and the drug cartel side, so they're always being corrupt. I will not say everybody, but there is a big part of the police that are corrupt, and you feel that when you're in the streets, people, police be treating you like you're nobody. And like they sometimes they make you feel not they're not make you feel like that, but sometimes they think there's something else. I know that we have to respect them and everything, but they always think they're a little, I would say, like a higher.
Oh, tell me about it. Police are the same everywhere, it seems.
So now, uh, with the protesters, it's been a lot of aggressions and a lot of violence going on, and the protesters they be shooting people. They will be putting, I would say, high. They will hide persons from the police in the protesters to start fights, shootings, and everything. And it's been happening a lot. In this past 2 or 3 weeks, there's been like 30 something or 40 something deaths by the police in all these protesters. There's one guy that he was killed, like, I think he was not killed, he was shot 8 times by the police on a city called Pereira here in Colombia. He was shot, he was taken to the hospital, and he was staying there in coma until, I think, the past few weeks he was announced dead as, self like when you're dead in your brain. I don't know, I'm really sorry, I don't know how to say that.
Right, right. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now,
So
geez, that's how many people have died during the protests? Do we have a
so
number?
yes, well, I have, no, I don't have the exact number, but I know it's about 40 something
Now,
in these last few weeks.
I'm assuming COVID has also played a role in everything going on there. The people are obviously, I'm sure. How has Colombia handled the pandemic? I mean, you don't have there's no vaccination rollout there yet, even, right?
Well, now it got started, but like for seniors only. So now it's been a lot of things, or corruption things, like around it, because people that from the government, so they have higher positions, are trying to get their family vaccine, but they also are doing corrupt things to get those vaccines, where they are only for seniors now, because we only having several amount of vaccines, where we don't have for everybody yet. So there is also a lot of things going on around it. There is also the pandemic thing is being really crazy, because it also has been actually going bankrupt for a lot of people, business people, working hard people. So the middle class people and poor people have been really affected after the pandemic, and this is one of also the reasons why we're still on the streets, because they did a lot of things with the money that were supposed to be for going into health in this kind of situation that we were living, in the world right now. So when they were supposed to invest in health, like new tools, to fix, to help people uh, during the sickness that was going through, the virus. So They invested money and they didn't invest it as they should, and they stole most of it. And this is why people are also getting mad, not because of the taxes thing. So it's been a lot of things that are being actually getting into people for them to be still on the streets.
Right. Now, what's the next steps? I remember I think I read maybe a day or two ago that the government was planning on holding some sort of talks with the protesters to try to, I guess, come to some sort of solution, or but it doesn't seem like this is the protests are dissipating. So do you have an idea of where things are headed?
Well, now the president actually was open to not to how to say this. It's been a lot going through these past few days because the government or the president has been trying to, like actually trying to get into people with trying to do things. So he proposed it, getting free free education for some kind of how to say when you're in a different level in society. You have
Okay, right,
different levels.
right. Classes.
So classes. So there's a first class. Well, we have here. Uh, I
like
would say
like people
the lowest
poor.
class will get the poor class. I would say, or no, until middle class. uh, the president offered free education, but for now, it's not actually what we wanted. We wanted like a change in everything around how to go with the country or lead the country because we want to change not only in education but like in the way they manage their country, how they do things. So they actually trying to now they are doing a little stuff to satisfy people, but they're actually not. So they say they will help people, but they actually just do it because people are still on the streets. So they're still doing things, but they're going into doors closed to actually make these decisions. So they're not including the community or the people that are actually um, caring for people. They're still trying to do things on their side. You know,
Right. Now,
so
I have a question from a listener. Mariah asks, "What do you know about the unions or left wing parties who called for the strike in April? How did that go?
what a strike in April.
Wasn't there a big strike? What am I reading here? The National Strike Committee. What wasn't there a strike on April 28th in Colombia?
April 28th, yes. April 28th, correct. There is where it started. We call it here the battle, so it's like the stop. So it's a big protest that was around the whole um, Colombia country, I would say. So it all started when they tried to apply these taxes law to people. So it started since April 28th, and we've been there since now until now, since the 28th of April. So there's been a lot of protesters, a lot of people being in the streets not to let this happen. And after these past 2 weeks, it all this happened. There's been a lot of violence, a lot of shootings after the actual protesters. So as you said, and you asked before, there in these past 2 days, the government is trying to actually fix things, but people are not believing these things they're trying to do. So this is why people is still trying to be on the streets in their protests to actually get something done for our community or for our country. So uh, now after the 28th of April protest, people are still on the streets trying to get this attention, or not the attention, the the fixing of the country. So people are not planning to really stop until they fix all we want, and it's about health, education, managing our country, investing in good in good ways we can actually improve as a country, exportations, imports, and actually just make our country grow. And we know we have like a country to be better.
Right. Uh, Thank you so much for calling in and giving us an update on what's well, not even an update, a whole summary on everything because we haven't talked about this yet on the show. I know Renee called in and gave me a brief, what was going on, but you took us from the beginning here. Oh, I mean, we should also mention obviously, and I know I hinted at it in the beginning, but just how much the U.S. Is responsible for so much of what's going on in South America as a whole, but Colombia, one of the countries especially. I mean, the U.S. has involved itself in Colombia, especially due to the drug war, in many ways. I don't know if it's many more, how much more compared to other countries, but Colombia is certainly one of the most we've been involved with in terms of South America and Latin America. So I mean, we hold responsibility for what's happening there too. Thank you. Oh, I can't. We jumped right in. I don't even know if I got your name. What's your name again? I'm sorry.
My name is Andres.
You did tell me. I remember now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Andreas, thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it. And feel free to call in again with any updates whenever something goes on. I'd love to keep
Yeah,
track
sure.
of what's going on.
Yeah, sure. I also love being here with you talking. I wish we can talk in the future with everything that is going on and give you guys update on what's really going on. And thank you so much for having me here.
Take care. Have a great night.